Hey guys, David here, TexasHornsFans.com, continuing with our 2020 Longhorns position breakdowns, previews, projected starters. This video, we're looking at the quarterbacks. We're back on offense, looking at the QBs. Definitely, I think, the most solidified position on the team. But don't forget to drop your comments. Let me know what you think. What do you expect? Who are you kind of looking at that you want to see a little bit of action from? Also, don't forget to subscribe and share the video out too. So jumping into maybe what to expect from the quarterback position. Obviously, we look at the first solidified, legitimate senior leader at quarterback since 2009 in Colt McCoy. So it's been a long time. But Sam obviously enters into his senior season, a ton of experience, a ton of confidence, and a ton of leadership, which I think that's exactly what you have to have when you're looking at introducing a brand new offensive coordinator in Mike Yurcich, and figuring out, how's he going to change things. No matter what, there's a level of a little bit of uncertainty and anxiety that there has to be among the players. And then you pile onto the fact that you had no spring ball, that there's been so much uncertainty about, what we're even going to be able to do with the season and practices and stuff. And yes, every team is going through the same thing, but Texas is overhauling an offense and a defense, new coordinators. So, that I think definitely causes Texas to start a few steps back. And, so one of the things I wanted to look at with Sam is just look at where he is production-wise. So for his 3-year career so far, 8,870 passing yards, 68 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. Last year, a little over 3,600 passing yards with 32 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. And then rushing, totaling over 1,500 yards for his career. Last year, 663 yards. 7 rushing touchdowns last year as opposed to 16 rushing touchdowns as a sophomore, which I actually love that. And that was one of my main points with Sam is I think last year we saw him run less out of necessity, and I really hope that trend continues this season. I just don't want to see Sam running a lot out of necessity when it just seems like there's no other option when it's 3rd and 2, right? I want to see the running backs get those yards and get those first downs. So, yes, I hope, I want to see Sam run for sure, but by design, right? When it's a good time, not by force, or not because you feel like there's no other option, which hopefully takes a lot of pressure off of him. I thought there was way too much pressure put on him during the Oklahoma game and most of the games after that. And I really liked the way he ran last season, just in terms of not being that bulldozer type of quarterback, which he did at times, but not nearly as much, I think, as we saw from his sophomore season. So I think he's become a smarter runner, and knowing how to manipulate the defenders as well. From the passing standpoint, I think the big question mark is, what is Yurcich going to change with the offense in terms of scheme, strategy, and the rhythm of the offense? Now, when you come in with a senior leader at quarterback, I just don't see Yurcich coming in trying to blow everything up, right? And I don't think that's what's going to happen, and I really don't think that would be smart either. Obviously, I think Sam has improved a ton as a passer over his 3 years. He's still kind of telegraphed, a little robotic, but he's gotten, I think, a lot more accurate. I think he's improved on his deep balls. We saw some misses last year, but I think overall, you know, there's no question that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. You know, when you look at it across the board, I think you've got Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Sam Ehlinger is right in that kind of elite group. You know, so that's kind of what I'm expecting to see from him. And then, you know, looking at what are the receivers, you know, going to do. Obviously, Brennan Eagles brings experience. Jake Smith and Jordan Whittington look to sort of share time at the H wide receiver spot, the slot receiver spot, which the past 2 seasons have absolutely been the most important receiver position on the team and Sam's favorite target, whether it was L.J. Humphrey 2 years ago or Devin Duvernay last year. So we've seen how important that spot is and how comfortable Sam is with the timing and the rhythm. So given that, you know, it was 2 different receivers at that spot the past 2 years, and 2 very different types of receivers too. L.J. Humphrey was more of the bigger kind of tight end type of receiver, where Devin was more of a smaller, shorter, more, you know, almost more like a hybrid running back receiver. So, you know, Jake and Jordan, I think, match Devin a little bit more in terms of playing style and body style. I think Jake is probably a little shiftier, maybe a little bit more fluid and athletic than Devin. And then Jordan obviously can kind of be a hybrid. So I think that's going to be a big storyline with how comfortable is Sam going to be with whoever's at that H wide receiver spot, and will it be better for Sam to stick with Jake or to stick with Jordan, or will he be comfortable if they're kind of, you know, kind of sharing time? We'll see. And then, you know, looking at possibly Josh Moore opposite Brennan Eagles on the Z or the Y spot. And then what else? Having Epps go, you know, kind of to tight end will be interesting. I thought he was out of place last year as one of the backups for the outside receivers. He just looked really awkward on deeper routes, longer passes. He just looked like he didn't have that type of body control. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, kind of who Sam trusts, who he builds kind of that rhythm with. And then looking at the reserves, the backups, you know, obviously Casey Thompson has been here for a while. Hopefully we get to see something from him. I still wouldn't mind to see Casey Thompson have a series, not in any sort of rotation with Sam, but maybe just, you know, what if Casey Thompson was there and you had Keontae Ingram or Bijan Robinson and Jordan Whittington in the backfield? Just something different, right? So something that looks different. Or even having Jordan Whittington line up at quarterback for a play or two would be interesting. And then the true freshmen coming in, Hudson Card and Jaquindon Jackson, both guys that had incredible success at quarterback, leading big-time Texas high school football programs. So super interested in, you know, to see what these guys are going to bring. I don't expect to see them play at all this year, unless it's kind of a little bit of mop-up time. But, you know, kind of projecting who's going to take over at quarterback next year. Fully expect it to be, you know, Casey Thompson, but I'm not super confident that Casey Thompson is going to be the next quarterback of the Longhorns. Hudson Card, I think, is more athletic than people give him credit for. I think, just given going off of high school careers, he's the most accurate passer, which I think is going to be the #1 attribute for whoever's going to be the next quarterback here. And then Jaquindon Jackson is just, you know, incredibly athletic and I think he can do every aspect of the quarterback game that the college game and particularly that the Big 12 Conference requires. So I think overall, if I had to pick a guy that I think could be the most dynamic to move the offense and put up points, I would go with Jackson right now. If you're going to go with a guy who is more of a quarterback, more of a passer, I'm going to say Hudson Card. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, next year. But that's kind of what we're looking at this year. Definitely let me know your thoughts below. How do you want to see Sam improve? Are you worried at all about how Yursich is going to come in and possibly change things? Or do you think he's going to maybe, not do as much as he wanted to, given the fact that Sam is a senior leader, team captain, fourth year, and also the fact that we didn't have a spring ball to implement a lot of this stuff, which is a major impact, for Texas, who's bringing in new coordinators, new offensive strategies, especially with the quarterback position. All right, so don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, share it out. Link in the descriptions to our Facebook page. We have over 57,000 Longhorns fans on there, and also a link to the website at texashornsfans.com. Definitely sign up to keep up with news and our next videos when they come out, so definitely don't miss those as well. Welcome.